All of the time.
If it's just the terrible royal family, this all-white, awful group of people...
And the media.
How do you explain she's also disenfranchised from her own family on both... on both sides?
I think a better way of looking at that...
On both sides, the only member of her family on either side was her mother. Yeah. She had people like George Clooney. She'd never met George Clooney
not getting into
before the wedding.
I don't know about a personal situation, but I do know this family and this media. There is no...
But you're blaming the royal family for the way they treated Meghan Markle.
What the hell?
I'm saying, who do you blame in her family then? Are they all to blame too?
It's a completely
different... Because she disowned all of them as well.
Well, I would argue that she experienced abuse from her own family, right? Thomas Markle sold stories. Her sister is awful. We don't even need to talk.
Thomas Markle sold interviews after they threw him to the wolves.
When you've been in an abusive situation, you see it everywhere. And I think perhaps Meghan went with Harry into his family and went, OK, this doesn't seem right. And she knows because she's been there.
Amala, in America, obviously, this is where they've got their new home. They've made hundreds of millions from companies like Netflix, Spotify and so on by trashing their families. But that shtick is running out of steam. I mean, there's no doubt people's appetite in America and everywhere else is pretty low now for more of that stuff.
OK.
What do they do? I mean, are they just like rent a celebrity now, or what happens to them?
I don't know. Maybe they fall into obscurity, although I don't see that actually being the case, because as much as they call for privacy and wanting to be alone, they somehow always end up in the press. She did an interview with Oprah. They did this whole Netflix documentary whilst saying that they want to keep out of the public eye and be able to lead their own lives with their families. They continue to complain about the racism faced in a family that they are seemingly no longer a part of. So I'm not sure where they go next from here. There will be some other victim card to play eventually, though.
Fact. I think that is absolutely guaranteed. On a separate point, Amala, interestingly over here, TMZ in America broke an exclusive with the first picture of Kate, the Princess of Wales, in a car with her mother, apparently maybe on the school run. Now, in the UK, those pictures have not appeared.
Why? Why?
Because of an understanding between the media and the palace, the terrible media, James.
Which protects some and don't protect others.
Actually, exactly the same rules would have applied to the Sussexes, by the way, with their kids. Exactly the same. But the deal was they couldn't be published here. I was trying to think in America, it would be unthinkable, wouldn't it, if say, the wife of a president was having recuperation from surgery and was caught by photographers. Unthinkable that everyone but Americans would see that picture, because everyone outside of the UK has seen this picture of the Princess of Wales, apart from the people here who actually pay the money through taxation for the royal family.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. I don't think that would ever happen in the United States. I think Americans would know about that immediately. Now, I don't know exactly how that works in the UK and why that has been held from you, but I can assure you we would know.
Well, duh. One thing that happened here, Kahindi, this is this producer of a West End show, Slave Play, which features a Games of Thrones star, Kit Harington, among the cast. It runs from end of June to end of September at the Noel Coward Theatre, and will have blackout events confirmed to be taking place on 2 of those nights. This is where 2 performances will be aimed at an all-black identifying audience that is free from the white gaze, and it follows a similar thing on Broadway in 2019. Now, Prime Minister Rishi Sunak's official spokesman says restricting audiences on the basis of race would be wrong and divisive. I mean, my take on this was, I was trying to imagine if you had an all-white cast and you said, right, we're going to have an all-white identifying audience free from the black gaze, you would go absolutely apoplectic with rage.
It clearly wouldn't be the same.
Why? Why?
Why wouldn't it be the same?
Because the problem here is, if you go to some of these shows, you will find there is an all-white audience. Unfortunately, because of the way it works, some of these places, they are almost exclusively white. And so what this is dealing with...
Just advertising it in that way, you would deem it extremely racist and offensive.
So there is a problem that you have almost all white audiences, and it doesn't feel like a safe space for black audience members or cast members.
Okay.
And so what you're saying is trying to address this problem. Let's have an all-black space.
So when you go to a theatre, if you see white...
There's no problem with all
To be clear, when you go to a theatre and you see white people there, you don't feel safe?
No, I promise you go to a theater and it's all black people, you'll feel away. I promise you.
You got me.
100%. Have you ever been into a theater and it's all black?
I've been to concerts. I've been to rap concerts in America where I've been one of the few white people. Yeah,
it's different.
I felt absolutely fine. Thanks.
The point is, it's different. When you go, it is. It's different for me. When I go into these places, it's different. It doesn't feel comfortable.
That doesn't make sense.
But just to make it, so in answer to my question, though,
that's
my question. If there was an all-white identifying audience billed as the marketing that was free from the black gaze, you would say that was racist.
Because it would be racist. This is to address a specific problem. Fact. There is in the cultural sector, there is all
the
white
only
faces.
works.
So how do you address that?
Right.
You
So racist if
place.
it's to do with.
You're just minimising the importance of that conversation again. You're just making it a hypocritical conversation to cause an argument.
Or am I exposing a double standard?
Stop it. Get some help.
No, there isn't a double standard.
I'm actually
one of
exposing
these-
the hypocrisy
One of
of
these
it.
groups is a minority and one isn't. And you always bang on, and I hate to bring this in because I don't want to have a debate about it, but you always bring in safe spaces for women, which I completely agree with. And you talk about how important that is. But then suddenly when there's a safe space for black people, you've got an issue with it. So what's going on there?
I don't understand
There's some,
why
some double
theatre-
standards there. isn't
theatre
there?
is
No,
not
answer
an
my question,
unsafe
please.
space.
There's some double standards
Sorry.
in that.
You're making out that somehow black people can't go to the theatre for fear of
No,
what?
but we're having a conversation about safe spaces, and the idea is that by doing a blackout event, it will feel safer for that community to talk.
So what if I want to have
issues.
a whiteout event?
They all are white.
Well, I mean, you can join the Ku Klux Klan if you want, Piers.
That doesn't make sense.
You're more than welcome.
So if it's a whiteout
we
event,
go.
it's Ku Klux Klan,
Piers.
right? Who are the most racist group in history? I got it.
No, Piers,
So
no,
one
no,
way, if it's whiteout,
No,
Ku Klux
Piers,
Klan.
the point is-
if it's blackout, absolutely fine.
The point is, it's already white.
You see how ridiculous it sounds?
The point
You
is,
see how ridiculous you
Piers,
sound.
go to
Let's bring in
West End.
Amala, the voice of
Already a
common
white
sense. Amala, I mean, just hearing these two, honestly, trying to work out in their brains.
Well, duh.
Very slowly, it seems to me, the ridiculous double standard
Not at
of
all.
what they're saying. You must be laughing, aren't you?
Oh, I'm laughing. I'm shaking my head. To me, this is absolutely ridiculous. It is one of the most blatantly racist things I've seen in quite some time. And it's quite literally demeaning to Black people. How insulting that you would say to Black people that they don't feel safe in a space because there are fellow white people there and they need to be safe from the white gaze. And how racist it is to white people to exclude them from being able to enjoy something like the theater. This is very reminiscent of the Jim Crow South that we experienced in America, where you had white and colored water fountains. This is the very same reality that we are now ushering in. And even though we made it to a time of progress where this was no longer an issue, we are inviting it back. It is racist.
It is not the
wrong.
same. In any way, shape, or form, is this the same as Jim Crow? What you
It
actually
is
have,
absolutely the same.
in the minute is go to a show in the West End. It feels like Jim Crow already. It's already a whiteout.
Okay.
This is
Her own wedding dress designer agreed, Kate had added. Meg asked if Kate was aware of what was going on right now with her and her father. Oh, so that's great. So Meghan has obviously fumbled the ball, has not set up this time for this dress to be tailored. It's T-minus a couple of days until the wedding. And rather than saying, I'm sorry I fumbled this, how can we fix it? Meghan then says, don't you know what else I'm going through? Me and my dad are fighting in the public right now. This is because this is what her and Harry do. They don't ever want to take responsibility for anything that they do. And so they mind
You serious?
some other emotion that's going on and going, hey, I can't be at fault for anything. Me and my dad are fighting. Don't you see that? Don't you see that I have a lot going on right now? This is why I failed to communicate to you regarding a tailor and your daughter's dress. This is why I failed to answer your message when you reached out about your daughter's dress. Kate said she was well aware, but the dress is, and the wedding is in just 4 days. Yes, Kate, I know, says Meghan. And Kate had other problems with the way that Meg was planning her wedding.
What?
Something about a party for the Page boys. The Page boys, half the kids in the wedding are from North America. They haven't even arrived yet. It went back and forth. I'm not sure what else to say. If the dress doesn't fit, then please take Charlotte to see AJ. He's been waiting all day. That's from Meghan. Kate replies, fine. This is where the narrative continues. Harry writes, a short time later, I arrived home and found Meg on the floor sobbing.
You serious?
Meg is a 40-year-old woman. Why is Meg on the floor sobbing after having a back-forth text message with her to-be sister-in-law about a dress? Why? Why would you be on the floor sobbing over a bridesmaid's dress because you fumbled the ball? I was horrified to see her so upset, but I didn't think it was a catastrophe because it wasn't, Harry. Your wife is just melodramatic. Emotions were running high, of course. After the stress of the last week, the last month, the last day, it was intolerable but temporary. Kate hadn't meant any harm, I told her. I mean, can you actually believe that this made it into his book? What? A squabble over a 7-year-old in her bridesmaid dress, that Harry thought that it was appropriate to put his niece, hang his niece out to dry as being upset for wearing a bridesmaid dress, something that was a private communication about something that is so innocuous.
Stop it.
As whether or not her dress was tailored correctly, because they're trying to make it seem, to paint Kate into a bad light. That's exactly what Harry's trying to do. And every single incident that I have seen throughout this book is this petty. It's this petty. It's small, fact. It's petty, and they hold on to it, and then they sell it for $25 million to a book publisher so that they can make the royal family look bad. And so I put together, by the way, this was just off the top of my head right before I came out here, just how many times I've heard,
Wait for it.
that Meghan was crying, that she was in a heap, that she was in a pile on the floor. So we know she cried over the bridesmaid dresses. We know that she admitted publicly that she cried the night before the Oprah interview premiered. The interview that she orchestrated, that she shot, that she sat down and accused the royals of being racist. Then she wants you to feel bad because she cried the night before she accused him of being racist, only to then tell us months later that, no, we never said that the royal family was racist. They're just going to gaslight us. She cried after the royal household issued a denial regarding a negative story about Prince William, which was very sad because she, I guess, wanted that story to be confirmed. She told us that she cried.
Are you serious?
When she called Tyler Perry, who was a perfect stranger and who she did not know. She said she completely lost control and she sobbed on the phone to him, and it was easier to talk to him because he was a stranger. No, it wasn't easier to talk to him because he was a stranger. It was easier to talk to him because he was a billionaire and you knew that you wanted to go back to LA and that Canada was always going to be a pit stop. From the very beginning, this woman orchestrated leaving the royal family because all she's ever wanted in her life,
Wait for it.
was to be an A-lister in Hollywood. She did not have the talent to become an A-lister in Hollywood. She was relegated to a D-list actress spot on a show called Suits that nobody in America had seen, but apparently, which Prince Harry lets us
Here it comes.
know, Kate and William were fans of, right? And so in order to get what she wanted, she called Tyler Perry and said, "Hey, what's going on?" And Tyler Perry offered her his home, which is in Hollywood. And that is where she went, and that is how she left Canada, claiming that it was for privacy reasons, when in reality, it's because this woman wants to be famous, desperately wants to be famous on her own terms. But let's keep going. She cried for Tyler Perry on the phone. She cried, don't forget, when she landed in America after their freedom flight. You know, they just record every moment of their lives, not because they're planning to have a Netflix docuseries and to sell their family down the river for $100 million. Are
you serious?
Because that's just normal. They always just capture moments of themselves. And she said when she landed, she ran into some person's arms and said, I really tried for 2 years to fit into this family before I realized I didn't want to be here.
Stop it.
And that was from the very beginning because you were never planning on serving the British public. You are an American through and through who wants to climb the ladder. She says, she goes on in this book and details, Prince Harry details.